Here's your drill. So you got yourself the 18-inch gear tie. You're doing that. You're out on the putting green. You're doing some drills. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to make sure that you hit one-handed putts with your trail hand. And we're going to go this way. We're going to feel like we're doing this. We're not going to do this. We're going to push the handle. And so when we push the handle, now all of a sudden, look at the speed of that putt. Not a lot of room in that hole, and it finds it. Okay? So you get the drill on the putting green, and I would not recommend hitting that putt one-handed with on a putt more than 10 feet. I would stay at 10 feet and possibly less, maybe even 3-4 feet. But you're just one hand. Again, I've gone to this lead hand low. If you decide that you're going to go traditional like this, then you're going to feel the exact same thing. It's going to be push out of that trail hand. Again, very good speed, and it finds the hole there. And I'm going to feel my club coming in and missing that heel tee and hitting the tee that the ball is on in the center of the club face. Oh, yeah. I peppered that one. That one there was flush in the center of the club face. Spin rate on that is really good. Get out there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I love golf balls that listen. Now let's look at all of our information here, because this is really exactly what I'm trying to get. Now I have a pitching wedge. I know when I hit my pitching wedge hard that it tends to draw a little bit, but I don't have anything to worry about over on the right-hand side unless I hit it too far. My pitching wedge isn't going to go 140 yards. It's not going to go into that bunker on the right-hand side. And I don't want to be there in the first place. I want to get this thing on the green. I want to be able to be aggressive with this shot. I don't want to be defensive. If I pull a 9-iron out here and I have to take distance off it, now all of a sudden I'm bringing back left into play. And back left into play is where there's a penalty area. And I don't want to do that. So I go with a pitching wedge, hit this thing a little bit harder, maybe even toe it in a little bit if you want to. I don't, but you can. And now we go. So there you go. This one's even a little bit harder. Now watch what happens to this one. Right at the flag, has a little drawback. Love the shot. Never put myself in any harm's way. I actually hit that farther than my 135. I hit it 138, but it was hit so hard and had so much backspin that it spun back. Had a nice little draw to it. Gibbsy, pull up that trace of that shot. I made a great decision. Welcome to a new breed of golf live from the Morgan Franklin Transformation Center. Excited to be with you on yet another Thursday and looking forward to a great weekend of golf. I know there are many of you that are excited to play great golf. And today we're going to help you play great golf through a swing that frankly is one of the best swings that I have ever watched. It's the most effective and most efficient golf swing in the game of golf. I'll talk to you about that in just a second. Before I get to all the things I got to do. What's going on? Camera? We have a camera out? Okay. So we have a camera out. Okay. No big deal. But here you go. So this is what we got. I got a little due diligence to do. I've got a poker chip that is blessed. This is the New Breed of Golf poker chip that I know if you don't have, you need to have. It's blessed with birdies. Come on, let's get a few of those things. So we got this for you here. We also have our head covers. We've got, you want to see it? Okay. All right. Here you go. I'll show you. This is the putter cover here. This is for mallets. So if you're a mallet person, we got you covered. We got a couple of different colors there. And then we also have for the blade, a bunch of different colors in that. And then we, of course, have the hats, which you can see right down there in the low left corner. So we got those covered for you. So we got all kinds of things for you. If you want to be a part of the community, just get involved. Send those emails over to me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. Let me know what you're interested in. And it's a new breed of golf at michaelbreed.com. Let me introduce you to some of the people that are behind the scenes. And this is always a fun part for me because these guys just don't know exactly what they're doing. Apparently, we got a camera out. Go to camera 6, Gibbsy. Just go to 6.
We're back.
Are we back? 8's back? Let's go. Let's see him. There we go. There's Gibbsy. There's Greg. And then, okay. Oh, look at that. It's always entertaining. It's what live is all about. It's always entertaining. All right. So I want to talk to you today about a thing. And what we teased was turn and sway and turn. What does that really mean? And what's the difference between turning and swaying? And how can a sway in the right spot be a good thing and the bad spot be a bad thing? Well, I also told you before that I wanted you to understand through the swing of what I think is the most efficient and effective golf swing that the game has seen. And that's this swing that I'm going to show you right here. And this swing is Tiger Woods. Now, Tiger Woods, back in probably 2000, 2001, and parts of 02, best golf swing that I have ever seen. We obviously know about the Tiger Slam. We obviously know about the wins of major championships by ridiculous numbers. Like the statistics are crazy what this guy did. But what he also did, and Butch Harmon, I think, did a great job with this golf swing, created a motion that was as dependable as any golf motion that I've ever seen in the history of studying golf swings. And it doesn't mean that there weren't those that played really well with different motions. Jim Furyk, incredibly talented player, Hall of Famer, no doubt, but wasn't the golf swing that Tiger Woods had. And this, to me, is my model. Like, when I think about, like, what does my model look like in the golf? This is the model. And so what Tiger does in his golf swing is this. When he takes the club back, his upper body is rotating the club back, and through the rotation, there's a bit of turn and movement laterally. So when he's moving it back in the backswing, now all of a sudden what happens is that there's a little bit of head movement. And so the head movement is here, and as he starts to turn back, there's just a little bit of motion in the backswing there, but a very, very full turn. You can see the back is facing over this way. Wonderful position. You all who have watched this a lot know that this is my favorite motion. So I go to this motion a lot. Gets up to the top, which is right in here, and the top of the backswing and the start of the downswing, there's a real gray area here because the lower body is starting to move forward when the upper body is still moving backward. And so what does the top of the backswing look like? It's many times difficult to really understand. But what you can see as we go through this is there's an upper body completion to the backswing, and then there's a start to the downswing with the upper body. And that start to the downswing is a slide or sway forward before there's a whole lot of turning going on. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a little bit of turn that goes on in it, but it's way more sway than it is rotation. So what you're going to see is as he starts to go here, right there, that part right there. So as he's going this way, there's not really any upper body turn. There's like 3 clicks where he's moving forward without rotating at all. So he goes to here. Club shaft is about done. There's the head. Now he's moving. There's a slide. There's a slide. You can see that the shaft of the golf club isn't really changing. Back, slide, sway, sway. There's another one. And then there's one more. And then there's one more. Now, what also happens is this knee right here, as a result of that, that starts to get, when you get this sway, you actually start loading that lead leg. And that's exactly what Tiger does here. So you see the swaying going right here. And now there's a load into that knee and a load into that body. And now there's your sway. And I want you also to see when he gets up here, Look at the height of his head. He's going and he's swaying and he's swaying and he's swaying. And now what's happened is his head has moved forward, but it's also moved down. And later in his career, what would happen with Tiger is he wouldn't really sway forward. He would drop down. And that's where that term getting stuck, he would get stuck. That's where that came from, because he was no longer swaying into this and then going down. He was just dropping down from here, and the club would get trapped behind him, which I'll show you in a second. But the point is, now you can see how compressed that leg is into the ground. And this leg back here almost looks like it's a little bit lighter. That's what I see. And now the unwinding happens. And as it's unwinding, watch what happens to the hip. So the hip starts going up. The leg starts to straighten out right in there. Boom. There's the push. And then into a finish position where you can almost draw a straight line down like that. Okay. Now, let me go back to the beginning again, show you what this looks like. So he takes that club back, good full turn into here, very tall. Now he sways, drops, rotates, pushes, and goes. Okay? So that's what we're seeing out of Tiger. Now, that's what I want to see you do, because when we start talking about the advantage of the sway at the right time in the right place, that's how you load the lead leg to use the ground effectively. Now, nobody was talking about how to use the ground effectively when Tiger was swinging back in 2000, 2001, 2002. But what became obvious over time was the understanding of the ground and how that swing actually used it so efficiently. You don't see the pushback the way you might see from other players now. Tiger didn't have to do that. And what you also see from Tiger is a wonderful balance onto that lead leg. So what he would do is take the club back, really good full shoulder turn, great width, and a slight movement. When I talked to Butch about this, he says it's about a half a head movement in the backswing. So you're talking about 3, maybe 4 inches. It's not a tremendous amount, right? So in here, body rotates, and there's just a little bit of movement in the back. Then we slide or sway down into here to load this leg. And then from here, the body starts to rotate from here. There's still a little bit of forward movement. There may be a push back because of the straightening of that leg. But all of a sudden now, what we're doing is we have shifted the low point of the swing a little bit more in front of the golf ball. Now, with drivers, you might not see that heavy a sway, because what you want to have happen is you want to have the club moving in an upward direction. Shot shape related, but slightly in an upward direction. Those of you that are trying to hit a little cut, there might not be as much pushback as those of you that are trying to hit a draw. The truth of the matter is, when it's all said and done, you want to feel, which is what we shared when we sent out the email, a turn, a sway, and then a turn. And so as you practice this, which we've done a lot of, as you're going to see in the range, there's going to be, well, let's, you know what, let's do this. Let's move that target into about 175 there, okay? So we'll move that target in. And what we have is we have turn, sway, turn. So I'm going to do it slowly. Turn, sway, turn. Okay? And it's frankly, it's not important that you make great solid contact when you separate these into 3 segments. What's important is that you're able to differentiate or feel it. So turn, sway, turn. Okay? So you separate them out. Turn, sway, and that sway is so that this lead knee, go ahead to the down the line, Gibbsy. So that lead knee, and I'm going to use this swim noodle in a second, that lead knee bends a little bit and then rotate and straighten. So it goes turn, then sway. You can see that knee bend, and then turn. Separate them out. I keep saying that. Separate them out and get used to that. Now, here's what we do. We bring this thing in, okay? And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to set this up so that the golf ball is just in line there, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a visual. So my visual is I get set up here like this. So that swim noodle is right off of my left ear. When I rotate, my ear should be clear of it. Now I'm going to slide so that my nose is right in there, and then I'm going to rotate. So now we go here, and we go here, here, there. Do it again. Wonderful thing for you to do when you're working on improving or making an alteration, maybe developing a skill, is to separate out or to move slowly. So in this situation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate out, which is what I've just shown. Then I'm going to start doing this slowly. Then I'm going to move into some speed and I'm going to do some recording. Okay. So golf ball is there. Turn right here where I can look down the barrel and rotate. So you might make sure that you can look down the barrel of that. And then you can see when I'm done with this, how my body is now in front of that swim noodle. Okay. Now, let's do it a little more synced up, but at a slow motion. So here, turn, sway, and forward. Again, not separated out, just slowly. So I'm not trying to create a lot of speed. That ball's only going 88 miles an hour. Not fast. Ball is underneath. Turn. And then again, I feel very light on my trail leg. I feel very heavy on my lead leg, which is exactly what you want to feel. Now we check and see what it looks like. So we pull up the V1, and then I'm going to record this. And then we'll take a little look at it, see what happens. Okay. So there. Now I'm going to go turn, sway, turn. Now, let's go over here. So now this right at my left ear is exactly what I want. Now I make the backswing. There's the movement off the left ear. That's roughly a half a head. Okay. Now, sway back in. And when I sway back in, now I'm back to that ear position again. Now we start to go through. Now my nose is over there. So now I'm moving forward. Now when I get to this position, my body is actually opening up. My hands now are in front of the PVC pipe and the noodle, and the club head is still behind. So there's the strike. So now I go down to here. So I've got about 7, maybe 8 degrees of shaft lean in that strike. I've moved it forward of that. So let me set the impact, go back to address, up to the top. So there's the top of my head. There's the ear, impact. I've now moved what in effect is from the top of that backswing, I've moved about 3/4 of a head to impact, and I've dropped down, not quite as much as Tiger, but I've dropped down about an inch or an inch and a half. And then when I go all the way through here, now let's see if the leg is straightened out right there, which is really good. Body comes through, arms look very, very long, get over through. And now what you can see is that swim noodle, and almost all of my body is in front of the swim noodle. So we get to the finish right there. And now I have that straight line. That's about it. And now I have that straight line from my ear straight down to the foot. That's what you're trying to achieve. Okay? So really like that one. And frankly, this is something that I work on in my swing. I will get to where I start hanging back a little bit too much and not generating the impact, the contact, the consistency that I'm looking for. So turn, sway, turn. So let's see if we can just increase the speed just a little bit with that. Turn, sway, turn. And what happens is that golf ball now is starting on that line that I'm trying to start it on. And again, in my swing, what I'm trying to do is hit a little cut. If I let go of, if I just let the club release a little bit, that would be a bit of a straighter shot there. Okay. So same thing. Just picked up the pace a little bit more. And what you can see is that golf ball is kind of starting down the line of the target, staying on the line of the target, and then moving maybe just slightly to the right, a little bit of a fade. Pretty good shot again. Again, starts down the left a little bit and moves back to the target. Now, what does it look like when we put the sway in the wrong spot? And I'll specifically talk about the sway being in the wrong spot at the start of the backswing. Because if you sway at the start of the backswing and you don't create the turn, your golf swing will end up being sway, turn, and then it might be a sway. So you might get sway, turn, sway, or it might just be sway, turn. If I sway this way and then turn from here, what ends up happening is I'll deliver more loft into the strike. So my launch angle, if you go up here to the corner, what I'm going to get in the corner here is a launch of about 15.8. So call it 16. If I do this sway and turn, which I'm going to do now, what you're going to see is you're going to see the launch angle go immediately up because I'm delivering more loft. Okay. So I'm here. I sway, not a lot of turn. And now I turn from back here, which we see a lot. So this will go sway, turn. Now, it's not important that the ball goes a certain distance or it doesn't go a certain distance, but watch what happens. That was incredible. I don't know if you saw that, but that basically went from 16 to 32. That launch angle doubled. Maybe we could put Greg put a trail on that shot. You won't necessarily see the launch angle on the trail, but when we start doing this, what you're going to see is, and this is hard to understand. If you go pull that full, what you can see is that golf ball left the screen. Now, what I mean by that is that you didn't see the apex of the shot. The reason why you didn't see the apex of the shot is not because we hit it too high. That apex only is 61 feet. But what happened was the apex was very, very close to me because it launched at such a high angle. So if I go back here and launch it lower and get an apex that's higher than that, it won't leave the screen. So watch this. I'm gonna hit one here. I'll do the right swing. I'll deliver the right launch angle. Hopefully the apex gets up to where I normally get to, about 90 feet. Well, this is going to be even higher. That one there is a very solid strike, but the apex on that one is going to be, 125 feet. I kind of overdid that one. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Got to lean into this, sway. There you go. So this one really good. Right at the target, bounce in there. Yeah, very good. And apex about the same, 60 feet. So this is even better. So the first one was 61 feet. You lost the apex. This one is 58 feet. It's basically the same, but pull it full, Gibbsy. And what you can see is because the apex happens so far down range, now you can see the top of the the shot or the apex of the shot. Fantastic. And by the way, very good delivery and all the things that we wanted, including, and this is the important one, the vertical launch. Now, again, because I had that 127, I got a little protective and maybe went a little too far forward. Still a good shot, not unhappy with it. But the apex now, I mean, the launch now comes down to 12 instead of where I normally play, which is like 17 to 19 with this 6-iron, okay? Now, let me show you what this looks like when you lean back, because there's going to be some very, very noticeable differences when we do this, right? So I'm going to go sway and then turn. And we go sway and turn. What's going to happen is you're going to see how much the shaft of the golf club now is leaning backward. And that will tell you where the low point is, okay? So in here like this, very, very similar position. That swim noodle is right off of my left ear, so I haven't messed that up. Now I'm going to sway and turn from back here. Sway, turn back there. So I kind of stayed back there, caught that a little bit thin. Let's see if this, if I got this. I don't even know that it showed up. Hold on. Let me go over here. There's the sway. Now watch what happens here. So there you go. So there's impact right there. That's terrific. Now let's compare that to the swing before, which is this, and there's impact there. So notice how different those impact positions are. And what I notice, what sticks out most to me is here are the hands right here, and here are the hands right here. Totally different position with the hand delivery. And so if the hand delivery is off, the launch angle is going to be off. That launched at 23 degrees. That had a 68-foot apex. And that 68-foot apex, go down, grab the sim full there, and you can see at 68 feet, we lost the apex again. We lost the highest part of the shot again. Why? Because we delivered so much loft that launched at 23 degrees. 23 degrees being right here. So now look at how different this looks. This leg back here, and I'll erase all this, this leg right here looks very, very heavy. Whereas this leg over here looks very light. Not a lot of knee flex. Knee flex, when I see knee flex, it implies weight. It typically, like you're typically not going to get a lot of knee flex unless you're leaning on a certain leg. So this leg here looks heavy. This leg over here looks light. Complete opposite. This looks heavy over here, and this looks light over there. Now, what else do you notice? Well, obviously, one of the things that you notice is that my head is here and the swim noodle is here. Whereas here, my head and the swim noodle are in the same spot. Okay, so that means that I've had a movement into it and the body is rotated properly. The other thing that you'll see, which is kind of cool, let me just erase this stuff. What you're also going to see when you look at this is where my trail hip is versus that swim noodle. Now, this is probably something that you don't look at, but there's the trail hip and there's the swim noodle. So big, big, big difference in those two positions. And what happens is now the body's rotation through as we go over to here. Now I'm getting through onto that side, and clearly I'm pinned back here. There's nowhere I can go to from here. I'm just hanging back. Look at that. I mean that. And by the way, I hate to say this, but I see this a lot. Look at that position. There's not a single part that is in front of that swim noodle. And one of the things that I'll do, if you're one of these people, and I won't do it in here, but what I would recommend is hitting on a downhill lie. You hit on downhill lies, and because gravity wants to go down the hill, you'll force yourself down the hill. And you'll actually start moving forward. It'll feel like you're making a big, huge sway or a big slide. You're not. You're just not swaying this way at the start of the swing, because that when you take the club back on the downhill lie, I'm in here, you're not going to go slide up the hill. You're going to hang out over here, which isn't what I want you to do, but it's a whole lot better than swaying back in this position here, right? So let's go back to this. So what I want you focusing on is making a good full turn in the backswing, chest and hips rotating in the backswing. And then from there, I want you to feel like you're sliding just until you can look down the barrel of that thing, boom, and then you go. And what you do is you set this up so that it's on your ear. And if you move it from your ear to your nose, you're moving it about a half a head, which is what I want you to feel. You probably won't do it, but if you feel like you're doing it, then you won't be falling backwards, which is what happens. So off the ear, turn, sway, turn. And now all of a sudden what you get, and this will be interesting because this one launched a little bit lower, very good strike. Apex on this one is 64 feet. Launch angle is 12.8. And then pull that full there gives you, and what you see again is the apex you can see very, very easily. It doesn't leave. And again, the reason why is because you've got forward shaft lean at the strike, which is why the low point gets in front. So that low point is basically where your chest is. Simple number. Now, let's move this out of the way so we make this a little bit easier on everybody. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that same thing. I'm not going to sway quite as violently or as exaggerated. And this apex should get right into that sort of near 90 range here. So here, caught it a little bit thin. So I'm not going to quite get the 90 that I wanted. And you can see the distance isn't quite what I want. So not quite the strike, but 82 feet. An 82-foot apex, 19.4 in that delivery. So not the 12.8. Again, a little thin. So I got to get up there a little bit more. So here we go. Oh, this was special. That's the way I want to hit a golf ball. Little bit of a fade over to the right-hand side. Apex on this one, 90 feet, exactly what I want. Launch angle at 19.5, not quite what I'm looking for. That's a little bit higher than normal. I'm looking for 17 to 19, so I'm about a half a degree off on that, but still very, very good. Probably worked underneath that one just a little bit with the rotation. So good with the sway, but not great with the rotation through. Another very good shot here. This isn't going to have the apex that the other one had. Also not the speed, but still a very, very acceptable shot. And again, what you're starting to see is you're starting to see some consistencies with the delivery. You're starting to see some consistencies with the shot shape because of that sway. Okay. Last one, Greg. I think we're ready for some questions.
Great.
Okay. So here we go. Turn, sway, turn. Here we go. This is a really good one. This might be, will it be? Oh, it hits the pipe. All the numbers are good here. So come on up here. And what you're going to see, these are all, like, if this comes out, very happy. So the launch, 16 degrees. Nice, a very nice delivery. That shaft has some good lean to it. The low point is in front. So very happy with that number. Also, that ball starts down the way I want, and it turns over to the right. You can see the side spin at 324. Ball speed at 116. Not my highest. I'm sort of in the 118, so that's a little bit lower, but it's still a very good shot. I'm trying to get 175 out of this thing. It went 172.5, rolled out to 175. Very, very happy with that. Apex right around 80 feet. Descent angle right around 40 degrees. So very happy with that shot. So if you want to move the low point forward, you want to improve your ball striking, if you want to try to become a much better iron player, feel like your body is getting some rotation in the backswing, and then just feel this little tilt, this little tip. And then from there, there's rotation. And now when we start getting into the driver, now that we've loaded that lead leg, now we can start to push off of it. When we push off it, that's when we start to get some real speed. All right, Gregory, let's jump to some questions.
Okay, first we have Mark. What is the best setup changes? This is from last week, by the way, and Mark is in the UK. What's the best setup changes to play the driver specifically into the wind?
Okay, well, What I would say first is, believe it or not, I really wouldn't change. I wouldn't change much into the wind versus normal. Okay. I don't know that I would do that. What I would do is I would just hit a standard drive. I really would. And the reason why is that when you start making changes that would increase spin, and that might be tee the ball lower. So you might have I got to tee this ball lower because I got to hit it low because I'm hitting it into the wind. Well, now all of a sudden, when you do that, spin rates are going to start to go up. And so I don't know that I would change that. But I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to hit a normal tee shot here. Again, with my turn, sway, turn. So there's turn, sway, turn. Very good start line. Didn't try to crease this thing. Just make a little bit of a motion. And what we're going to see is that the spin rate of that shot is about 3,500. So I caught that a little bit low. Now, I want you to see, because spin, when you get more spin, what you end up doing is it will kind of throw the ball up into the air. And if you're playing into the wind, that starts to chisel. All of a sudden, that thing is not going to roll out. But this is a long tee that I've got here. So with this long tee, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did, but I'm going to try to hit this thing a little bit higher so that I don't try to, I'm going to launch it higher, but my spin rate should come down. That one apexed at about 86 feet, which is fun because if you, by the way, Gibbsy, pull that full, remember we had that little shot that was 68 feet. This one is 86 feet. But because the apex is so far away from us, we can actually see the top of the apex of the shot because it's so far downrange. That apex is at probably 190 to maybe 200 yards, a ball that carries 230 yards. Again, not trying to blister that shot, just trying to make a polite swing. But what happens is that the apex is higher and you can still see it. So when that apex is close to you, and it looks like it's going way up in the air, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a high apex, okay? All right, so here we go. So I'm going to hit this one a little bit higher. I hit it thin. I hate when that happens. I hate it. Try it again. This is what we call a mulligan. We're gonna mulligan this, okay? So here we go again. Okay, this was pretty solid. Now, I hit the ball high. The ball went a little farther, but look at that thing roll. Why did that thing roll so far? Because of this right here. Look at me. Backspin, 1764. When it's 1764, it's not getting, it's the wind is going to move it up in the air, but it's not going to move it as much in the air because the spin is down. And when it gets on the ground, it's going to release a little bit. So you don't want to tee it lower. You're going to get more backspin. Backspin is a bad thing for you when you're playing into the wind. So all you're trying to do is figure out how to take some backspin out. Don't be afraid when you're hitting into the wind to just make your normal swing. Because if you start trying to flight it down and you start teeing it low, or you start swinging down more, or doing all the things to hit it low, your backspin is going to go up. And when that starts to happen, that's when you're going to lose some distance. Okay? All right, Gregory.
Okay, this one from Lee. What are your techniques for hitting a hard draw or fade around an object, maybe like a tree that's in front of you in your way to get to the green?
Okay. I love this question. And the reason why I love this question is because so many people are trying to work a shot around a tree and they plunk it right into the tree. So here's what we're going to do. Gibbsy, go down the line if you would for me. I'm going to set this thing. So here's my tree. Okay. My guess is, and I don't know this is true, that's pretty much in the middle. Now, this will be a fun one to answer because why don't you go face on here, Gibbsy? Yeah. This will be a fun one to answer here because you're going to get an understanding of how to avoid the object that you're trying to avoid. So many people are hitting the objects that they're trying to avoid because they don't understand deflection. So let's say, for the sake of argument, that I'm trying to hit a cut. And this is the thing I'm trying to avoid. But I want to curve it to the right of this thing, okay? Well, here's what you do. You wisely so, you open the club face because we're going to hit a cut. And wisely so, you aim to the pull side because we're going to hit a cut. But what you don't think about is the deflection that's going to take place off of the club face so that the ball is not going to start where you swing the path. So let's go down the line. So if I want to start the ball to the left of this thing and I have an open face, so just imagine this, that when I open the face to curve it to the right of that, the ball will deflect off this face to the right. And so if I want to start it here, I got to swing way, 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 way over here because the face is open and it will deflect the ball to the right. So what I do is I take the face, I open it up, but instead of aiming at something here, I'm going to aim at something over here. So I get set up like this, make sure it's in the hitting area. Club face is going to be open, and now I'm aiming way over here. I mean, way over there. And now it starts over there, and now it curves back to the target. We've got the trace on this ball, so Gibbsy catch the trace. And what you're going to see is that ball, and this is great, don't pull it full, though, showing camera one down the line. And so what you can see is that the line of this, the start line, is right here. It's to the left of the shadow that's right there. You can see how much to the left that is. And then it curved back. But I swung over here to the left of that 100 barrel. It just never starts there because the club face is open. So the object gets hit. It doesn't leave in the direction of the swing. It leaves in the direction that the face is in. And that's something that's so hard to comprehend. So what you want to do is you want to aim, if you're trying to hook it or fade it, you want to aim more to the left or more to the right than where you want to start it. Very, very important for you to understand that. You want to aim more to the left or more to the right from where you want to start the shot, because that's what you have to do in order to get the ball to curve around it. If you aim where you're trying to start it with the face open, it's going to hit the thing that you're trying to avoid. Okay? All right. Interesting question.
Okay. This one from MJ. In the sway, in the downswing, as you have explained, what is the movement of the lead knee? Does it move down or toward the target or both?
Yes. The answer is both. It's exactly what it does, because when this, so let's go back to Tiger here. So Tiger. Okay. Now, here's where his knee starts. Now, in this video, what actually takes place is the camera moves a little bit. Okay. So you got to understand there's some movement that takes place with the camera. When he takes the club back, his knee is about here now. So his knee has moved down a little bit and back a little bit. Now, it has to get out of the way. So what's going to happen is that knee, there it is. And now that knee is right about there. It's actually moved towards the target. So you could argue quite successfully that it's at least even with the hip, if not a little bit outside of the hip. You could argue that, but it's definitely not inside of the lead hip. So now it goes there. Now it's definitely, that knee is now there and that hip is now there. Now, again, you could argue, I happen to think it's in front, but you could argue that it's right underneath. But what's fact is it's not back behind it, because of the rotation. So the knee is rotating like this and it's moving forward. So when you start to get into that sway, that lead knee right here is going to go this way and then that way. And you can see right here how that is outside of this. So it goes forward and around. Okay. So here it's back, then like this, and then like that. And actually at the end, it actually starts to move back, goes that way. And that's because of the push that comes out of the toes there. Okay. So turn, sway, turn. And this, I'm just, this has put renewed spirit in my golf swing because I'm starting to feel some things that I have felt in my motion over time that I've lost. And I lost the sway. And now I've got the sway back. And now all of a sudden, my club face is a lot quieter. My launch angles are much more consistent. My ball speeds and my distances much more consistent. My spin rates have actually gone up a little bit because my angle of attack of the club is starting to get a little bit sharper. So I'm getting a little bit more spin. So things are just starting to get back to where they were because of that swing, that guy. It's the best swing going. And this is one of the little idiosyncrasies that, frankly, he lost in his golf swing over time. And had he maintained it, I think he probably would have achieved some additional records that he is still in pursuit of. Simple way to say that. Okay. All right.
All right. This one from Jason. How can the sway be applied to the driver in the woods?
It's the same. It's the same, right? It's just this. So there's only one additional thing. And I think part of this is just thinking about hitting it harder. But much, so we talk about ground forces. I talked about those earlier on. In order for you to be able to be effective in your usage of the ground when you jump, in other words, if I stand here and I don't bend my knees, the force that I can create is only going to be created through my toes. My toes will push my heels up, but I don't know how much I can jump if I just use my toes. I don't think I can get my toes to leave the ground. I don't know the answer. I've never really tried it. But what I do know is that if I want to leave the ground, I got to go here to go like that. Okay. So in order for me to jump away from the ground, I got to load it. I got to load my leg in order to straighten my leg. So it's all the same. There's a little bit of a turn back. There's a load in that with the sway. And then here, as you're coming down and rotating, now you're pushing off. And when you start to push off, now you're going to start to hit up on it a little bit more. And second, that ball's going to be in a more forward position. So the shaft of the golf club, remember with that 6-iron was about 7 or 8 degrees of forward shaft lean. The shaft lean on this one might be negligent. It might be 0, might be 1 either way, but it's not a tremendous amount. So in here like this, when I start to swing a little bit harder on that sway, turn, now I push off the ground. And now what ends up happening after I push off the ground is I'm able to generate much more speed. And obviously, look at that ball. That ball's out there. Well, here are your numbers right here. And again, not swinging fast. Don't pay attention to the club head speed thing. I don't have a sticker on this. So that number there is not, it's not accurate. You got to have a sticker on this with the About Golf Simulator. But the ball speed goes up to 150 now. My apex got to 116. I carried that 255 and it rolled out to 270. It's a nice shot. I didn't swing as hard as I can swing at that. I've got probably another 3 to 5 miles an hour of club head speed. But because I was able to push away from the ground with the leg, all of a sudden it accelerates the club head speed. It accelerates the ball speed. And when the ball speed is hovering around 150 and I've got 153 to 155, well, now all of a sudden I can get greater distance. That pushing off of the ground is the only difference between hitting a hard shot and hitting a standard shot, right? So if you look at it through amount of effort. With a driver, you're probably in the 95 percentile. With a 6-iron, you're probably in the 80 to 85 percentile. And as a result, you're not really pushing off the ground significantly. You're just making a nice fluid swing. You'll see that if you watch a Justin Thomas swing, he's playing this afternoon. You watch Justin Thomas play, he makes an iron swing. His feet are very quiet. You watch him with a driver, and all of a sudden there's a lot of pushing off the ground. That's just effort. That's just, I got to hit this far. This is the only club that you have an unknown distance to, right? Somebody says to you, how far do you hit your driver? You go, well, I hit it, somewhere between 250 and 280. How far do you hit your 6-iron? Well, I hit it about 175. Like, there's only one number that's coming out when you're hitting an iron. With this thing, there's multiple. And the reason why is that if you get more, that's great. If you stand over a 6-iron, you're 170 and you need 170 and it goes 185, you're probably in a back bunker or maybe even, over the green in worse shape. If you're playing TPC Sawgrass, you're in the pond, you're in the water. And so you need specific, you need precise. With the driver, I just need some more. I'd like more. How would you like 15? Yeah, I'll take 15. That's how you work. That's how everybody works because distance is good. So you're really trying to add speed with the driver. With the irons, you're not trying to do that. And that's why you don't see that thrusting off the ground or jumping off the ground, because you're not putting so much effort into the speed of that club head.
Okay, this one from Adam. On driver and woods, I feel like my upper body sways forward and toward the ball too much. Can this be overdone?
Well, the only reason why you would be doing that would be because you didn't load correctly. So what'll happen to a lot of people is when they take the club back, they don't turn properly. So what'll happen is you'll take the club back, but you start to seesaw your shoulders like this. And it feels like you've got a lot of turn, but you can still see my right shoulder here. And my shoulder line has dipped down dramatically. And now when I go here, because I didn't load that trail heel and make that good full turn, now I have swayed too far in front of the ball. But that's because you didn't gather that half a head in the backswing. So what I would say to you is maybe, but likely, you didn't make the backswing that you want. And as a result, you don't make the downswing that you need, right? You don't get that sway. So I would tell you here, you want to feel like when you're turning that this lead leg is really, really light. If I turn improperly in the backswing, I'll get more knee pressure. I'll get more knee bend. I'll get more pressure into the ground with the lead leg because my shoulder is going straight down. So you look at it like this is an elevator and it goes straight down. Going straight, you see it goes straight down there? What I want is I want the body to rotate. So this is moving back this way, almost over that trail foot. That's been a popular thought for many, many years. And so what happens is that when you get back here to here, now you can go and sway and you're going to be fine. You can't sway too much because you've gained the half a head in the backswing. Now you can go forward there and you're going to be fine. So don't be afraid to just add a little bit of a more level turn with the shoulders in the backswing here. And then when you start to sway in there, you're starting in a totally different spot. Club will be from the inside. It'll be a little bit more shallow and you'll hit it a lot farther. Okay.
Okay. This one is from Tim. Is there a correlation between the amount of sway or backswing that can be used to hit the ball higher or lower?
Is there a correlation between that? So is there a precise amount? And the answer is no, there's not. What I can tell you is that if I want to try to hit it higher or lower, that's when I'm trying to feel a little bit more vertical or a little bit more around. So if you go down the line here, what will happen is if I'm hitting it too low and I want to hit it higher, what I want to feel is I want to feel my hands getting more back in here or away from the strike line. If I'm hitting it too high and I want to hit it lower, I want my hands to stay a little bit closer to the strike line, right? So let me get a couple of pieces of PVC pipe here and show you what I'm talking about. So if this is my toe line right here, okay, and then this right here is, say, where I would want my hands to be with a 6-iron, which typically what I'm looking for my hands to do is be just over maybe the heel in the backswing. So when I take the club back, if I'm hitting this thing and it's going too high, what I want to do is I want to feel like my hands aren't really getting deep. The more depth I get, the better chance I have of hitting it up into the air and maybe even hitting a draw. So if I'm getting too much of that, I want my hands to feel like they're staying closer to this line. So I go here, and I'm going to have a very steep angle of attack. You could hear how clunky that was in the strike. Now, if I want, and that's going to create low. That one there, launching at about 15 degrees. If I go in here and I get my hands and have a little bit of depth over here, so you can see now relative to that pipe, they're in here. If I do that, now all of a sudden what I'm going to get is I'm going to get a very shallow delivery of the golf club. I'm going to get a little bit more turn with that. And this one, so that vertical launch on the first one was 14.9. The vertical launch on that one is 22.5. So all of a sudden that thing's getting chucked up into the air, and it gets chucked up into the air because the club is moving so much along the ground coming in because of the depth of my hands. So what I would say is that if I'm going to either side, that would tell me where I want my hands to be at the top here, either a little bit deeper back behind my shoulders, or a lot closer to the strike line near my toe line. And now all of a sudden I'll get a little bit of a steeper, angle of attack, which will create a little bit lower launch angle and a lower apex. Okay.
Okay. This one from Emilio. My head moves a half a head to the right at the top of the backswing and up a little bit as well.
Good.
Do I need to widen my stance? When I recenter on the downswing, I tend to cast the club.
Okay. All right. So now we're dealing with a casting situation. And to me, there's a couple of very fun things that you can do to assist yourself with getting rid of the cast. One of the things that you can do is simply do this little pistol drill that I do, and that's this. So get a close up here of the hands, if you could, in a camera 5 there, Gibbsy. Just zoom right in there down low. Okay, so there are my hands there. Now, if I take my index finger, so this finger right here, and I drop that off, and I put that on the back side of the grip like that, so you can see my thumb and my index finger are off that grip. Now, when you look at it, that's what the hand is going to look like. Okay? So I set up like that. Now pull it full. Now what I do when I swing is I keep that. So at the top of the swing, I keep that. I make sure that my thumb and my index finger are to the back side of the grip. So right here. So now I go here and there. Now still hold that. Hey, Gibbsy, come back to here, grab the down the line and look at zoom into the hands. You see how the hands were still in the pistol grip right there. That golf ball was still a pretty good strike, but I didn't grab it again at the top. I set it at that and I keep it at that. That is my favorite drill for getting rid of casting. And I can tell you a story. This is a long, long time ago. This is 1986. I am teaching golf at a place called the Dorset Field Club in Dorset, Vermont. In fact, the year before me, I was working for a guy named Ken McDonald. The year before me, the assistant pro was a guy named Olin Brown. Greg, you know Olin Brown and his son. Son,
Very
obviously,
well.
at that point, not around. But that's 1986. So you're talking almost 40 years ago. There was a woman that I gave a lesson to who had a really bad casting problem. And I gave her this drill where what we call it this is called a pistol drill. And so what you do is you take it back and you don't let the thumb and the index finger attach to the grip again. And so I gave her the pistol drill and she hit it great. And then every time she went out on the golf course, she continued to cast the club, continued to hit violent poles, continued to do a bunch of different like bad stuff. And so she said, "Can I play like this?" And I said, "Sure. You can do whatever you want. I don't know how long it's going to take you to get rid of this casting, but you can do whatever you want." She played in the club championship with that drill, had never won a club championship before, played in the club championship with the pistol drill and went and won. It was awesome. So I know this drill works, and I've used this drill very successfully with many people in the 40 years that I've been, almost 40 years that I've been teaching. And so what I can tell you is that the casting thing that you're doing, do this drill and just keep doing what you're doing. And all of a sudden you'll get out of that casting and you'll start making much better strikes there. Okay.
Okay. This one from Tidal Wave 1. I'm a member at an executive 9-hole par 29 that's not very busy. So I have a lot of time to practice on the golf course. What would you practice while playing to improve from inside of 100 yards?
Ooh. Okay. So inside 100 yards. So this is going to be wedges. Now, do me a favor here, Gregory, if you would. Just bring me over to the wedge range and give me a, let's have like a 70-yard shot. Okay. All right. Now, this word that comes to my mind when I deal with wedges is the word arsenal. Okay. And what that means is that you have a lot of options when you are attacking a given shot. And what I like to do is I like to practice having the same yardage, but executing different shots. And there's a few ways to do this. One is to use the face of the golf club a little bit differently. So again, I've got a 53-degree wedge here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the club face quite significantly. And now I'm going to hit a 70-yard shot. This is probably, I'm going to say this wedge right now has about, I don't know, 56 or 7 degrees. So now I hit a shot, and that one there flew in the air about 65 yards. So I like that. I just need a little bit more because it's spun back another yard. So I'm going to do the same thing, only this time I'm going to hit it just a little bit harder. So I hit it a little bit harder, and I need a little bit more. Good shot. These are both very good shots, but I need more distance. So open it up this way, and now, so this one should be pretty close. There you go. So I was trying to get to 70. And I landed that at 71, and it spun back to 69.5. So pretty good. Took me 3 shots to be able to hit that. Now, what I know is that I take the club face, I open this club face up to where I feel like it's like a 58. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm just hitting a 70-yard shot with a 58-degree wedge. Well, I actually have a 58-degree wedge. And so now I have a different way of hitting that shot. Now, what did that shot do? That shot had about 10,500 RPMs of spin, but it had a lot of right spin to it because the face was so open. So if you pull that swing full, Gibbsy, what you're going to see is how much that ball curved to the right. Now, why is that important? Because if I have a 70-yard shot, but I have a right hole location, that's a pretty good shot to hit because I can aim into the more center of the green, and I can hit that shot, and I'm going to have a little bit of curve to it. Now, with my 58, what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to play it pretty square. Let's see what we get here. So now I hit that shot. Now I start out, again, really, really good. That has a little bit of right movement, but not a ton. So now let's do this again. So this one, now what I did was I said, okay, I'm going to put a little draw on it. And all of a sudden that one, a little farther than I want. You can see how much I turned that, right? So how do I want to hit this shot? Do I want to draw it? Do I want to maybe just grip it down? So now I'm going to grip it down, and now I'm just going to try to hit a fairly straight shot. So this is a fairly straight shot, grip down. That shot is more than acceptable to me. So not a lot of curve in that shot. That's relatively straight, had the distance that I want. So now I have a second shot. My second shot is I take my 58, but I grip it down a little bit. So when I take my 53 and I open it up with to a 58, because of the way I have to swing the club and the curve that it's going to have, I'm going to get with roughly the same amount of energy, maybe not quite the same, but roughly the same amount of energy. I'm going to get a shot that's going to curve to the right. Now let's go to a pitching wedge. And what I'm doing is I'm building my arsenal. Now this shot, and again, I go back to these. The spin rates are about right around 10.5. Launch angles are right around 32. So pretty good in all this stuff. Now let's imagine that I have a 70-yard shot that's neither on the left side or the right side of the green. It's in the center of the green, but it's in the back of the green. So I want a golf ball that doesn't have 10,000 RPMs of spin. It has less than 10,000 RPMs of spin, so that when it hits, it doesn't actually spin back closer to me. It moves away from me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pitching wedge. I'm going to grip down on this pitching wedge. And now I'm going to hit this shot. Now that's too far. Okay, so what I learned was that one there, this is awesome, didn't go the distance that I wanted. I was looking for 70. This one flew 83, but it rolled out to about 84 or so. So I got a yard of release, and the spin came from 10,000 down to 6,700. So now what I got to do is I go, okay, so I've got a shot that now can release, but now what I got to do is I got to get it the right distance. So remember, it took me 3 swings to find my distance with that 53. Now I got to find the distance with this 46-degree wedge. So that's a pretty good one as well. So again, I'm trying to get to 70. Look at that. So a couple of swings. This one flew 68.5, rolled out to 70.5. So I got a 6-foot release, pretty good, and spin rate down to 6,300. So with a couple of different swings that I had, I'm able to go, okay, if I've got a back flag and a 70, I'm going to hit this with my 46. If I've got a right hole location and a 70, I'm going to hit that with my 53. If I've got a center or maybe even a left hole location, I might just go to my 58. If I have a front hole location, I'm definitely going to hit a 58 because I want to hit it behind the hole and then spin it back. And I might mess around with that. So you have to understand that not every 70-yard shot is the same. And what you want to do is you want to build your arsenal, which is exactly what I'm trying to do, trying to build the arsenal. So I've got a 70-yard shot with this one. I've got a 70-yard shot with both my other 2 wedges. And now all of a sudden I can attack the field when that hole location is where it is. I can attack it with what I want to do instead of just having one 70-yard shot. And that, I think, is one of the best things that you could do if you have the luxury like you have, where you can get on the golf course and you don't have a lot of people. Now, there's one other thing that I want to add to this because this is an important one. If you are fortunate enough to be able to go out onto a golf course and you're able to hit shots with wedges into greens, please do your superintendent a favor and fix all your ball marks. Because what does happen many, many times is you get that time where you can get out on the golf course and you can hit some shots, but you're going to make some divots, fix them. You're going to make some ball marks, fix them. Don't be lazy, okay? Don't think, well, somebody else will do it. They won't. You got to take care of it. You got to look at it like that's your property. That's your golf course. You've got to prepare it. You've got to take care of it. So what I ask you to do is, if you're going to do that, which is great, practice on the golf course, great. You're not holding anybody up, no problem. Just make sure you fix the field, okay? Just fix the field, all right? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this one is from Ritz G. Is turn, sway, turn an enhancement to or different than your excellent up, down, up tip that is really helping my iron play?
Wow. So is it different? I need my 6-iron. Is it different? No, it isn't. But what happens to people in the up, down, up is they don't understand that when they go down, they got to go forward. And so it's very, very, very similar. I would say it's a cousin. It's just giving you permission to move forward. So in the up, down, up, which is up, down, and up, some people interpret down as going, like I was saying about Tiger, they go backswing and then they go down and then they turn from here instead of getting in front of that swim noodle. And so is it different? Yes. Is it similar? Yes. It's not quite a twin. It's a cousin. So yeah, I love the up, down, up. I love the turn, sway, and turn. when I turn and I sway and I turn, I tend to hit some pretty good shots. So very interesting question. Very, very insightful too. Okay. Well done. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, this one from MJ. Can you explain what swinging the grip of the club is versus swinging the club head? And how do you go about doing either one of those?
Okay. These are really, really interesting questions today. So I appreciate it. And by the way, you know what? You guys have done a great job. We're at 41,000 followers, subscribers to the YouTube channel, and we're trying to grow that. And I told you next month we're going to get to introduce you to a partner that has joined in with us, and so excited to be able to announce that. And as we continue to grow this, we're going to continue to have more partners, and we have more partners. There's more giveaways. There's more opportunities. There's an extension to the show, because obviously the show costs money to do. But all of a sudden we start, and there's no commercials. You're not gonna have to worry about commercials. We're gonna have, it's just a lot more fun. So just thank you, and keep telling people to subscribe. Keep telling people to get in. Nudge a buddy. Hey, got to check out what Breed's got going on. This is the coolest thing. We're the only live golf show that you can get to. Nobody else is doing live stuff. Everybody's making everything on video, and everything is on tape, which we do a lot of too. But we're the only live one, which means there's a direct interaction that you get to have. Okay. Now, where were we, Gregory?
This was the question about swinging the club head.
Yeah,
versus
swinging the club head versus swinging the handle. So swinging the handle and swinging the club head, they're different because they're different feels. And what's interesting is that everybody feels things fun. Everybody feels things a little bit different. And so if you're one of those individuals that likes to feel the club head, which I like to feel the club head, but I don't necessarily feel the club head. I feel the face. So call it the club head. When you start to feel the face, what you start to do is you start focusing on what I think is the most important thing, and that is the club face itself. And so I start feeling where the face is in space and where it is relative to the strike line or the target line at impact. So I can feel when the face of the golf club is in a closed position, which we get there, or if I try to feel the face being in a little open position. Now, what do I got to feel when I feel that face? Well, I feel the face open. So now, and this is the fun part, now if I'm a handle guy, well, I now feel, okay, so the handle is now twisted a little bit clockwise to me. So if I want to come through here and think about the handle, well, now I just twist it clockwise, and all of a sudden it goes over to the push side. It also launches a whole lot higher, and ball speed wasn't terrible, but look at how far to the right that thing launched, and it launched at 24 degrees. Pull the sim full, and you can see that started to the right and then spun to the right. Now, this is again, I say this to you and I mean this. Everybody's different. So I'm not sure that I would say I want you to do one over the other. What I do is what I want you to do is I want you to figure out, what do you like to feel, right? Because I can tell you, if you're a hands player, then you're probably going to feel much more comfortable feeling the handle. If you're a body player, you're probably going to feel a little bit more comfortable feeling the club head. So don't lock yourself into, well, I need to do this. What you do is you figure it out. I'm gonna sit here. I want to feel the head of the golf club rotating over, and then the next one, I want to feel my hands rotating over, or I want to feel the opposite. I want to feel the toe of the golf club behind the heel, or I want to feel my right hand behind my left hand. I want to feel the knuckles of my lead hand pointing to the sky when they come through. Hands, love. Body, love. Just understand that you might be thinking in different places, but there's no right or wrong. There's just no right or wrong. Okay. All right, we got time for one more question. So,
okay,
Gregory?
this one is from Bill. You've talked a lot about hitting fat chip shots and how to solve that. But I always hit my chip shots thin. I hit my irons thin from the fairway as well. I never take divots in the fairway. And is this mental?
No, it's not mental. At least I'm not going to, my default will not be to that. I will not say that it's a mental challenge. What I would say is that many times what people do is they try to hit the ball up into the air. And when you try to hit the ball up into the air, you start pulling the handle away from the ground. You start pulling the head away from the ground, and that causes you to hit it thin. So what I like to do with people that are struggling with taking a divot, which is exactly what Bill has said, or struggling with hitting the ball crisply, not thinly, what I like to do is I like to think about it this way. I want to try to feel like the top line of the golf club, when it comes through, is getting to the ball before the leading edge. So if there's a race, the leading edge is beating the top line. I want to get the top line to beat the leading edge. So if I come through here and I let the leading edge beat the top line, I'm going to hit it thin. That's what's going to happen. I won't take a divot. And it'll launch a whole lot higher. That one there launched at 35 degrees. Now, when I come through here and I want the leading edge to be behind the top line, now all of a sudden what I'm going to do is I'm going to get more shaft lean in here. And now I'm going to pinch that out. And the leading edge, because it's down so much, will dig down into the ground, and you'll get that divot. That one there launched at about 19 degrees. And so what I would suggest is, Bill, if you want to try to solve this problem, and I don't know that it's a problem, but if you want to try to solve this situation, think about getting the top line to beat the leading edge. And if you do that, you'll get some shaft lean, you'll get some divot, you'll get some strike. I don't want you to drive it into the ground. I want you to imagine that it's a race. And in the race, the top guy, the top line, he's going to beat the leading edge. And when that starts to happen, now you'll get a little bit of divot, and now you'll get a little bit of a strike. Okay. Quick reminder. First of all, thank you all so much for joining. I cannot believe an hour and 15 minutes has gone by. It just goes so fast. Reminder again, you guys want to get a ball marker, be part of the community, make sure you send an email to me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. Gibbsy, I don't know if you can pull the ball markers up or not. There they are. Terrific. So if you want any of those, we've got 5 different colors. Send an email to me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com. Also, too, by the way, we've got our putter covers. We've got it in the mallet, and we also have it in the blade. They have the signatures on there. So make sure that you guys get a little bit of an autograph. And also, too, we've got the hats. And if you want any of that stuff, just send an email to me at anewbreedofgolf@michaelbreed.com, and you can become part of the community. I also want to say a special thanks to my two good friends, Steve Gibbs and Greg Ducharme, working another very hard, very long, nice job. It almost looked, whoa, you guys, it's almost getting professional now. You guys, I don't know whether you guys are going to commit to one or what you guys are going to do, but I love that part of the show. That's one of my favorite parts of the show. And finally, I go back to this. I would love it to, we want to try to grow this. Please tell your friends about what we've got going on here. If you haven't subscribed to the network or to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We'll send out a bunch of information when we're doing these and what we're going to talk about. Take your suggestions on what it is that you might want to discuss or be discussed. So make sure you reach out to us. That's what we're trying to do with that show there. Tomorrow, we've got some more instruction for you on A New Breed of Golf on Sirius XM. That's at 8 a.m. Eastern. If you're a part of that community, thank you so much for being a part of that. If you're not, try to join us over there on Sirius XM. It's a great listen. The shows that are on over there are phenomenal. Taylor Zarzer, the Paulson boys, Colt Nost is over there, Drew Stoltz. A lot of very, very talented individuals are involved with what we're doing with Sirius XM and the PGA Tour channel. So make sure you join us over there. We'll be over there tomorrow at 8 in the morning. In the meantime, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and we'll see you and talk to you tomorrow.